Hey guys, you're welcome back to Synthetic Goddess channel. It's been a while here. So in this video, I would love to explain the concept of break of structure, knowing what real break of structure is and how to identify them and how to make use of them based on each time frame. I'm going to be making all of those explanations in this video. So when we talk about BMS, we are talking about break of structure. Some people know it to be BOS, which is also break of structure. BMS, break of market structure. Whatever way you call it, it is still break of structure. We are still talking about the same thing. It is just break of structure, break of structure. Okay, so I want to explain to you how you can identify if truly this is your break of structure or it is something else, because sometimes you're going to see a break of structure and eventually market is going to just move in another direction of the break of structure, and you keep wondering why the market is doing this particular thing and you are yet to figure it out. So you need to stay till the end of this video for you to understand what the concept of break of market structure is. Now, the first thing I would want you to know about the concept of break of structure is that time frame is different from each other. Time frame break of structure is different from each other. You can see a break of structure right now on the daily time frame, which is the 24 hours time frame, and you will get your weekly time frame, and it will just be a candle on the weekly time frame, right? So it will just be a candle on the weekly time frame. And also, break of structure on different time frame is very, very different from each other. Sometimes you can be seeing break of structure to the upside on the lower time frame, and you can be seeing break of structure to the upside on the higher time frame. I mean, if you are seeing break of structure to the downside on lower time frame, on higher time frame, you can be seeing break of structure to the upside. So break of structure is entirely different from each other on time frames. So you need to be able to hold on to that first, that break of structure is different, totally different from every other thing. Now, for you to be able to identify your real break of structure, that you want to know that this is a real break of structure, I am going to advise that you don't go below 4 hours time frame, because 2 hours, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes are definitely going to also be showing you break of structure. But on this higher time frame, there might just be candle or very little wick on the higher time frame, and it might get you confused on the lower time frame. I am not saying that you might not be able to get your break of structure on lower time frame, but I am giving you the advice that if you want to know your real break of structure, your true break of structure, I would advise that you use the higher time frame. Don't go below 4 hours time frame. Personally, I love to use the 24 hours time frame and the weekly time frame in identifying what my break of structure is. Now, talking about this break of structure, so how do you know your real break of structure? The first thing you want to do is this. If you want to know your real break of structure, ensure that market is breaking it with a body. Yes, you ensure that market is breaking your structure with a body and not a wick. Because sometimes when market breaks your structure with a wick, it might just be a grab of liquidity. You know, you can't really tell what the market will eventually come back to grab. You can't tell the liquidity the market will come back to grab. As you can see this area now, we have a bodied candle, and ensure that the body candle is on the higher time frame like I have mentioned earlier. You can see that this is a body candle. Market broke this to the upside with a body candle. Let me zoom that in for you to be able to see it clearly. You can see that we first had a wick, broke this high. Now, this is not the candle I am going to be marking out that caused my break of structure. I am going to be marking this out as what caused my break of structure, this particular candle here. That is what I am going to be saying caused my break of structure, because this was where we had bodied candle. Now, in some cases where market breaks it with just this particular wick, you see this movement to the downside. I am not going to trust it because market just broke it with a wick. So I can't really tell if that is a sweep of liquidity. Talking about sweep of liquidity, when market wants to sweep liquidity, most time you are going to see it sweep it with what? With your wick. That is what market will use in sweeping your liquidity sometimes. Now, for instance, see this particular move. I'm going to show you an example of sweep of liquidity. We call it ounce of liquidity too. You can see that the market did not sweep this high with a body candle. It only did with wick. Market only swept this high with a wick. So this is telling me, this is giving me a signal that we don't have a break of structure yet until the market gives me a bodied candle above this high. That is when I am going to consider it my break of structure. Okay, so for instance, we have this to the upside. This high is broken to the upside. This high is broken to the upside. Now, you can see that the market broke it with a bodied candle. Market used a bodied candle in breaking this high. That is when I can confirm that this is my break of structure. Okay, now, how do you know your true break of structure from what you should mark out as inducement or liquidity? The first thing I want you guys to know is that you can't really tell if market will use a low or a high as inducement or as liquidity. You cannot really tell that. The reason I said you can't really tell that is because the market makers do whatever they want. They do whatever they want. The market makers do whatever they want. So you can't really tell that this is where market is going to take as a liquidity or as an inducement until market has played it out, that this is where I am going to be taking as an inducement. But nevertheless, you can anticipate a particular low or a particular high as your inducement or as your liquidity. You can anticipate. You are not so sure, but you are anticipating. So how do you anticipate that? I want you to know that when we have this structure to the upside and market breaks this particular high and we create a low, now you shouldn't be marking this high out as a break of structure. Once market has given you BMS to the upside at this area, what you should be anticipating is this low that was created after we had the break of structure to the upside. What you should be anticipating as your inducement or your liquidity is this particular low. So when market breaks this particular high to the upside, you are not calling it a break of structure yet. You're not calling it a break of structure yet until market continues to display whatever it wants. So you are anticipating this low to be used as your inducement. Number one reason is because this low did not get back into our range over here. This low did not get back into our range, right? This low could not get back into our range here. It just stopped at a breaker level and it continued to the upside. So after the market has taken this high, you are anticipating the market would use this area as your inducement. So you are not just marking this high out as a break of structure. So I'm going to give you a quick example on that here. Now you can see that we had this change of character to the upside. Pardon me. We had this change of character to the upside. And after market has given us this change of character to the upside, this was the low that was created this particular low, was created after we had the break of structure to the upside with a bodied candle, okay? This was the low created to the upside here, no, to the downside here. Now, this is what I would be anticipating as my inducement or my liquidity, that I would be expecting market to come back to this area before we continue to the upside. But as you can see, market took out this particular high, creating this area also for us for a continuation. So let's see what happened. So after we had this high broken to the upside with this body candle, the next thing you want to be anticipating is that market might use this area as an inducement, right? But because market did not come back to take this low immediately, instead we created this low, market took out our primary inducement. If you don't understand primary inducement, you can check all other videos. I have made videos on inducement. Market took out this particular inducement and it's continuing to the upside. You can actually get your entry around this area for a continuation to take this particular high. You can see that immediately market did not take out this particular low. But nevertheless, you can still say that this is still an inducement for this range because markets are still not taking it out, even with this low. Markets are still not taking it out. So it is still going to be safe for you to say it is an inducement for this particular range, for this range. So it is still safe for you to say that it is an inducement for this particular range, because later in the future, market can seek it. We cannot say what the market can do. Now, another thing, you can see that immediately we had this break of structure to the upside, market created this low for us again. Now, this is also your what? Your inducement. This is your predicted inducement. You are anticipating that markets will use this low as your what? As your inducement. Markets would use this low as your inducement and use an area here for a continuation to the upside. So you are not just calling this area a break of structure to the downside. You are not calling it a break of structure to the downside. You are waiting for the market to break this low before you can say, oh, we might be seeking this our next inducement. So this is the inducement market created for this range, for this particular range. This was the inducement low that was created. And so when it is broken, you don't just say market has taken out our break of structure for us to continue to the downside. Now, another thing the market did, you can see that we had this low broken to the downside. This low was taken to the downside, but let me see if we actually took it with a bodied candle. So let's mark it out and see if market took it out with a bodied candle. Remember, it is still an inducement for us for that range. Okay. You can see how wicks were closing below it. We've not had a bodied candle break this particular low because it is still an inducement for us. So personally, I am going to be counting this low that the market took as an inducement. I would not be saying this is a break of structure to the downside, because this is actually my expected inducement for the range we marked out the other time. And as you can see, the market gave us an entry confirmation here to the upside after the inducement has been taken. And you can see how market has been buying really, really hard. You can see how market has trended to the upside really hard, just because we took out our our predicted inducement. Now, you should not call that just BMS. So markets might eventually turn it to become a BMS, but once market has created it, you are anticipating, you are predicting, and that is what you do in the market anyway. You are predicting that this is going to be our inducement for this range. So for this particular range that I marked out here, this particular range here, this was our predicted inducement. So when markets broke it, I would not be classifying that as break of structure. And that is how you should mark out your break of structure, differentiate it from the inducement the market comes back to take. That is going to be the end of this video, guys. Keep watching, keep living in the atmosphere of profit. I'll see you guys in the next video.